Well, this went as advertised, but it was fun. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another player review. This one is for Greg Brown III. Yesterday I dropped Trendon Watford, so we're starting with the Rooks. If you haven't watched that player review, go check it out. Today we're going to talk about Greg Brown III, the project big man who looked like a project at times this year, but then had flashes that kept me intrigued. Make sure to hit that like button below. It helps out the channel. Hit the subscribe button and share the channel with fellow Blazer fans if you really want to help us out. And let's take a look at a few things that I said about Greg Brown III before the season. He's the type of guy where if you use him right and you coach him up right, I think he can be serviceable as a rookie. If he's in a system where everybody just kind of does their own thing offensively and doesn't have much structure, then he would be a guy that I'd be more worried about playing in his rookie season. Chauncey utilized him as a cutting big man and a lob target. He's an athletic freak and he can finish around the rim. He's explosive, so utilizing him in a motion offense in the half court makes a lot of sense. He can finish off a cut or, backdoor screen for him, and maybe there's a lob available for him. And I think in a few years, Greg Brown is going to be a menace in transition, not only as a lane filler and a runner, but also as a guy who can push with the ball in his hands. However, in his rookie season, I don't want him to be a guy who's trying to do too much going coast to coast. He had turnover issues at the University of Texas, so I don't want it to be a situation where he's pushing the ball and out of control. He needs to learn how to be under control before he starts doing that regularly in NBA games. But as a lane filler and a runner, he's a guy that definitely works. He's pretty quick for his size, and he can jump off the ground. He can get off the floor. He has some bounce. I'd also like to see him shoot threes here and there. He shot 33% at the University of Texas, and I think he's a guy that can knock down the open three-point shot. So as a pick and pop guy, I think he might have some potential there his rookie season. And then defensively, he has some foot speed, so I think he would actually work best in an aggressive defensive scheme, playing up on pick and rolls, trapping, and that could help lead to more runouts, which I think will serve him best. So I think we saw some of that at times, didn't see some of it at times. I mean, it was a weird rookie year for Greg Brown, not playing much to start the year and then getting some consistent run near the end of the year. You could definitely see him gain confidence and see him start to break out a little bit, especially once he wore those goggles. Shout out to Patty Mills, by the way. Greg Brown should have started doing the 3 goggles, man. Should have brought it back. But this season for me just left me thinking about Greg Brown as a long-term project, which is what I thought about Greg Brown coming into the season. I was a little bit more optimistic in how fast it could potentially take at the start of the season. I now think it will be a little bit more of a long-term thing, and I'm curious what you guys have to say in the comment section about that. But with that being said, let's take a look at his stats. I did set a couple goals for Greg Brown III heading into the season. I wanted him to have a positive assist to turnover ratio. I wanted him to shoot 55% from 2 and 34% from 3. Here are Greg Brown's stats over the course of the season. He almost had a positive assist to turnover ratio, but it didn't pan out for him. And he also shot 48% from 2 instead of 55%. I was a little bit disappointed in that. And he shot 31% from 3, which is, it's close to 34%, but obviously not reaching that goal there. Some positives from Greg Brown's season was his seasonal improvement. He improved throughout the season. He definitely seemed nervous the first time he checked into a real NBA game, and it seemed like it took some time for those nerves to kind of go away. But you could tell he adjusted a little bit more to the speed of the NBA game as the season went along. He stopped putting pressure on himself when the team stopped putting pressure on itself when they started tanking. That was definitely a good thing for him. And his improvement throughout the season was definitely a good sign. He also showed defensive flashes. It definitely was not consistent whatsoever, but he can definitely move his feet. He has the athleticism to block some shots, and we saw that at times this past season. And then the third positive I have for him was his late season shooting. In the month of April, he shot 45% from the field, but 47% from 3 on 9 for 19. He made 10 threes before the month of April, and then in 6 games in April, he made 9. That also coincided with him wearing goggles. That's when he started wearing the goggles, so I don't know if he had some sort of vision issue before that, but he was a absolute sniper with goggles on. So maybe that's the fix he needed to become the next great shooting power forward. who can also dunk on you. I don't know, man. Goggles Greg, though, was phenomenal in April. His late season shooting was definitely a positive. As far as some negatives / improvement areas for Greg Brown, I was a little bit discouraged with his finishing this year. I thought he would be a little bit better finisher. When he can rise up and dunk the ball, he's obviously a great finisher, but when it comes to kind of being creative around the rim, maybe contorting his body a little bit, he just doesn't have the body control or seemingly the coordination to be able to finish some of those layups. I hope that is something that he can learn, because a guy as athletic as he is, he should have enough time in the air to kind of rearrange himself and get shots off around guys. So hopefully that's something that Chauncey Billups can teach him, how to finish around the rim, how to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more in control while doing so. The second is his outside shots. He shot 31% from 3, which was close to his goal, but that was carried by a hot shooting month of April. Now, it could have been he just needed time to get comfortable and get confident in the NBA, or it could have just been a small sample size and an outlier. I'm not sure. He shot 33% in college. That's why I had a 34% goal for him, but I'll take 31% as a starting point his rookie year. For context, Anthony Simons only shot 34% his rookie year and 33% from 3 his second year. Nasir Little shot 24% from 3 his rookie year, so definitely not a bad baseline for a rookie who wasn't really looked at as a shooter coming into the league. I think that we'll see some improvement there over the next couple of years, and that'll help open up his dribble drive game. The third one, I already kind of talked about it. He needs to learn how to play under control, and that was one of the biggest issues he had in college. He would commit numerous charges, would just be out of control, and a guy as athletic as he is, sometimes it's hard to kind of rein that back and play at 80% or 70% instead of all out at 100%. There were times where he'd try and drive the lane at 100% and wouldn't be able to avoid a charge. You got to be able to get past your initial defender, but then also maintain enough control where if somebody steps in to try and take a charge, you're able to sidestep them or pull up for a little float shot or kick it out. Playing under control is definitely something for him to focus on this offseason in Summer League. And then the fourth negative of his is a defensive one. He fouled far too much. Per 36 minutes, he committed over 5 fouls per game. There was numerous games in which he could not get developmental minutes because he had foul trouble. So he needs to learn how to play under control defensively too and not foul as much as he did. Now, rookies definitely don't get the benefit of the doubt, especially when they're a second round draft pick like him, but he definitely fouled people pretty frequently. He needs to rein that back, and that's another thing to watch in Summer League. Now, you don't foul out in Summer League, but you don't want to see him sitting there with 9 fouls at the end of a Summer League game. Offseason goals for him would be to spend some time in the weight room. I want to see him get stronger. I think he'll maintain his athleticism. If he could be stronger as well, that'll only help him. It'll be to work on changing pace offensively with his dribble, and it might be certain drills that don't look like things he'd use in game, but just learning how to slow himself down, how to change speeds a little bit, I think will apply to some game action for him in terms of him just being more under control on the offensive end. And then also for him, just like the case was for Trendon Watford, he needs to shoot. He needs to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. If he can become a 35-36% three-point shooter, figure out some of his fouling issues and become a consistently okay defender, and then also become a little bit better as a cutter, then he's a guy that I could see having a role. I still think that might be a couple years away, but he just needs to work at it. He has some time. He's still extremely young, so he has a lot of future ahead of him. Speaking of the future, this is what's next in store for him. He's definitely going to play on the Blazers Summer League team. I think there's no doubt about that. He's also under contract with the Blazers next year, so if the Blazers needed his $1.5 million in salary in a trade after July 1st, then he might be included in a trade and might end up somewhere else next year. I don't think he's such a core piece that the Blazers are going to say no to a good established player because they have to give up Greg Brown III. I mean, that's just the truth. But assuming he remains in a Portland uniform, he's going to be fun to watch in Summer League. I think he's extremely unlikely to play regular minutes next year and maybe even the year after that. He's a guy that came into the league being multiple years away, so I don't think that should panic anyone. I think his third season, he'll start to hopefully see some spot minutes, and then his 4th season, maybe he's a part of the rotation. I just think he's still 2 years away at minimum from helping a good team win basketball games consistently. He might have games here or there where he steps up and helps the team win, but he's still a couple years away, and fans are going to have to be patient with him. I'm going to have to be patient with him, and he just has to focus on what he needs to focus on and just get down and work. If he's a guy who works hard, I think he'll carve a niche out in this league. We just have to wait and see on if that happens. Now, as far as his grade for this season, I give it a C-. C would be, you know, average season. I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't, you know, reach his assist to turnover ratio goal, but that doesn't really matter. I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't finish super well on the interior, and then 31% from 3 after a hot shooting April. He was down in the 20s for most of the season. I was disappointed with that, but I mean, he's a rookie. That's going to take some time, so I'm also completely fine with this season for him as well. It was hard to figure out a grade for him because I was hoping for a little bit more, but also I was completely fine with a little bit less, so Greg Brown fits in that range for me. Let me know what you would grade Greg's season down in the comment section below. I want to see what you think his grade should be. Let me know what you think about his game and what you think the future holds for him, and that will wrap up this player review. I'll have another one coming tomorrow as part of daily uploads. Will probably come a little bit sooner in the day, so stay tuned for that. And until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.